Welcome back and thanks for staying with Africa News Network First Fast Live. The Public Servants Association says it wants regulators to determine the extent of former Steinhoff CEO Marcus Jooster's criminal liability. The PSA says a preliminary review of the company documents has shown complete collapse of corporate governance at the embattled retailer. Steinhoff lost 206 billion rand in market value after Marcus Jooster quit as CEO on the 6th of December amid accounting irregularities. Meanwhile, reports say Steinhoff directors are now accusing the former CEO of having lied to them and avoiding their questions. It's the first time the directors are speaking out after accusations that the board was delinquent in overseeing the retailer's management. And Tahir Maepa is with Fedusa joining us on the line. Good evening to you and thanks so much for joining us. What's your reaction now with the latest development that indeed there seems to be a lot more rot with the Steinhoff irregularities that we were first believed to know?
Hi, Cindy. Good evening to you and good evening to your viewers. Well, it's becoming clearer and clearer that the rot in Steinhoff goes beyond our imagination. We knew that things were not going very well there from the observation and some of the scattered information all over. However, as we dig deeper into exactly what may have transpired, it is becoming clearer and clearer that this is simply a tip of an iceberg. However, we as a union, as PSA, we are quite determined that we want to go all the way to try and get to the bottom of what has happened there. But one of the things that there's no way that we can stomach is for the directors to want us to believe that Steinhoff was a one-man show. And it was Marcus Jooster alone who knew what was happening in Steinhoff. It's impractical, it's impossible, it's so ridiculous to even suggest that anybody would believe such low-blood air. We strongly believe that the directors of Steinhoff knew what was happening. Specifically, it's difficult to believe that a person like Christo Wiese, who has put so much money into Steinhoff, didn't know exactly what was happening. The CFO, who was in charge of the finances of Steinhoff, didn't know what was happening. There's senior guys from Sanlam who were also sitting on the board of Steinhoff, and they all suddenly saying that they didn't know what was happening. It's impossible that they didn't know what was happening. They knew what was happening. We believe that they were, in one way or the other, part of what had transpired there.
Yeah,
and we believe that
just to
all of them...
back, yes, we know that the PSA and Fedusa had marched to the Steinhoff offices demanding documentation, and we are of the view that these were legitimate documents, albeit that their financials have not been disclosed as yet because of irregularities. But talk us through what you found and what you mean by complete collapse of corporate governance. What kind of evidence has your review of these documents revealed?
Well, if you look at especially the financial results or financial statements of Steinhoff, Marcus Jooster has repeatedly lied to everybody, and it was adopted by the board because they were published. Whereupon he said that he provides assurances in his director's report about the sound financial health and ethical business practice of Steinhoff. This statement basically in itself says that he and those who adopted that report deliberately misled the investors, because everybody who put money there, they were putting money, investing in Steinhoff on the basis of a lie, on the basis of some crooked manufactured results which were not true. Now we see that if you get closer to the documents that we have, and we're far from getting to the bottom of all of them, because it amounts to over 2,000 pages of information that we are trying to go through. But in its entirety, you can see the thread of this misleading. It didn't only start yesterday. It was something that has been going on for quite some time. But what is key is that whatever that Marcus said in those reports, the board adopted those reports. So we are assuming that they apply their minds to those reports. Now, what did you apply your mind to? You apply your mind to information that leads to those particular reports.
All right, the next step for Dusa, I hate to break your word, what happens now? I suppose you're still going to investigate further the documents that you have. What happens next? What's the next step?
No, what we are working on now is to establish a prima facie case of vicarious liability against UST and the rest of the board in their personal capacities, because we believe that they are responsible for this mess. It cannot be only him. And once we have established that prima facie case, we are definitely going to go ahead for a class action against them, and also criminal charges against both UST and the board of Steinhoff.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Thanks indeed for your trouble in speaking to us. Tahir Maipa is with FEDUSA, MANCOM member and PSA Deputy General Manager, joining us on the line, reacting to the preliminary review of the company documents, which they obtained a couple of weeks ago, saying that 206 billion rand of market share value after the Steinhoff CEO resigned is something that can't just be explained away using accounting irregularities as a rationale or excuse.